number of new faces in here. We want to raise our hands. New to 40 plus for the first time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Great. Okay. Well, welcome to those of you who are new. And for those of you who are new, I'm going to give you a 30-second overview of what 40 plus is about. 40 plus was founded in 1953. It's an all-volunteer organization devoted to helping mid-career professionals make successful career transitions. We've been doing this in non-stop basis for 64 years now. And we've got a new class coming in, and a couple members of the new class are here today. And we run 3 different kinds of programs. Our main event is our class, which is a 4-week intensive training program to help you with job search skills. And we do these Monday morning sessions virtually every Monday of the year. Ken organizes them. And we have once a month, we have a networking session in the evening where we also have a speaker. And with that, we hope you'll try to attend some of the evening events as well as the morning events. And for those of you who are new, at the end of the program, if you'll come to the other room, we'll tell you more about our course. So without more ado, I'm going to turn the program over to Ken, who will introduce our speaker.
Great. Thanks, Eric. Thanks very much. Before I do that, I just want to tell you about a couple of other events that we partner with other organizations to assist with. And some of you have heard me say this before, as a small nonprofit volunteer organization, we do rely on partnerships, connections, and collaborations to help us get the word out about the good work we're trying to do here, and we try to help other organizations that are doing similar types of work for the community. In particular, we're pleased to be partnering with our friends here at the Foundation Center, our landlords and partners, along with a group called Reserve, for a special program right in here in a couple of weeks, Wednesday, August 2nd, from 10 to 11:30. Folks from Reserve, as well as the Foundation Center, and maybe one of us from 40 Plus, will be talking about the opportunity to tap into your intellectual capital to help small nonprofits that are trying to make a difference in the world. We talk more about the work that Reserve does to connect experienced professionals, even those that are retired, with nonprofits that need some support. So if that's of interest to you, I think we've got flyers on the table, and it's on the Foundation Center website as well. I also want to tell you you're among the first to learn about our LinkedIn workshop. We're very proud to be bringing this back. We took a hiatus in 2016 while we were making our transition here to our new location, but this has been one of the most popular programs that 40 Plus does every year. It's an all-day program from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on LinkedIn. All of the new bells and whistles, all of those features that, speaking personally, I'm still trying to figure out where did the search function go, how do I find companies, all of those things that LinkedIn constantly changes to sort of keep you guessing and keep you subscribing, I guess. It works. Colleen McKenna, who is a national expert on exploiting and leveraging the power of LinkedIn in career transition, will be our instructor, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Friday, September 22nd. Not here. We are very lucky to get access to fantastic conference facilities at the Venable Law Firm, 600 Massachusetts Avenue. There is a registration fee for the program because it's all day, there's lunch and snacks included and so forth. And we feel it's highly valuable, and all of us will attest to the importance of LinkedIn in your search strategy. So we've got some flyers out there as well, so just mark that on your calendar and keep it in mind. Yes, John?
I want to just say that in 2014 when I took it, she made me do 2 minor changes to my profile, and 2 weeks later, an employer called in, and at that time I was a consultant, and I got a gig just out of the changes that I had made in my profile. So it's really very valuable.
Thanks for that help, John. All right, well now, on to today's program. So we're very pleased and proud to welcome Kathleen Magidson with us today. Kathleen is a career coach and counselor at the Johns Hopkins Carey Business School in a private practice with experience online and in-person counseling and coaching. She leads mindfulness retreats and group workshops to facilitate growth and transformation in communities. She's a member of the American Counseling Association, the Maryland Career Development Association, and the National Career Development Association. I just want to read very quickly a testimonial from one of her clients because it's going to say it a lot better than I can. This is an entrepreneur who worked with Caitlin. After 14 years in the same industry, I was having great difficulty in making the career change I so desperately wanted. Caitlin helped me reframe my work experience and guided me on a journey of self-discovery which led me to rediscovering a passion I've always had, but never considered pursuing as a vocation. For the first time in my working life, I can finally say I love what I do for a living. Thank you, Caitlin, for your expert guidance in creating the environment I needed to conduct this self-discovery. I would not have arrived at this point so quickly and feeling so good about myself without your help. So with that, Caitlin, you're going to help us all do that, right? Please join me in welcoming Caitlin.
Well, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
It's Monday. I'm so glad to be with all of you, and thank you to Ken and 40 Plus for having me here. It's a delight to be with you this morning, and I love all things career development, self-development, LinkedIn. So I could talk for probably days on this topic, and I'm happy to continue the conversation afterwards. But I'm looking forward to the next hour that we have together to talk a little bit about career development and in particular healthy thinking styles. And I appreciate the introduction. A little bit of my background, I'm trained as a counselor, so in my own business, I see people for career coaching, and I also see them for counseling, because I think life comes into a lot of the decisions we're making. So I look at career coaching or the career development process from a holistic perspective, meaning it's not just your resume. You know, the decisions that you make in your career, they affect your relationships, your health and wellness, your finances, right? I think of it kind of as a life pie, if you will, and we've got all of these wedges. So when I sit with someone, I like to ask questions about what do they envision for that life pie, so that we can better understand what is the career piece of the pie going to look at. So that's a little bit of my training.
There you go.
I also work at the business school at Johns Hopkins, just right up the road. There's a DuPont Circle campus, although most of the business school is up in Baltimore. I'm down here in DC, and I've had the pleasure of working with a number, well, hundreds probably, students over the last 5+ years. Primarily MBA students. We have a Master's of Finance program, real estate, information systems. So I coach people in various industries that move into the nonprofit space, into corporate space. I am more of an expert in the process and helping people develop a strategy and get to their goals. So I think of myself as a thought partner in helping people feel empowered and confident as they take steps forward. And you can read more about my bio. I recently just presented at the National Career Development Association in Orlando, Florida last week. So I love speaking, and I'm glad that I get to share some insights with you today as well. So just to get started, some of the music, I like music, so that's why we started off. Probably blah. Has anybody seen Zootopia? Yeah? That was the song I was trying to play and repeat. And I love some of the words that you might have heard. It says, I won't give up, no, I won't give in, till I reach the end, and then I'll start again. I won't give up, no, I won't give in, till I reach the end, and then I'll start again. No, I won't leave. I want to try everything. I want to try even though I could fail. Oh, try everything. I think that's kind of the story of life, right? I want to try everything, but I could fail. So it's kind of scary, and I get that. I've been through my own personal career transitions, and I'm sure all of you are in similar places. So to start off the morning, I'd love to get the room moving, and I want you to introduce yourself to someone that you don't know, and maybe tell them why you're here. What is it that you're hoping to try, or what is it that you're hoping to learn today? So just take a minute, get up out of your seats, shake a hand, say hello, and tell them what brings you here this morning.
Hi, I'm Jeff. Hey, Jeff. How you doing? I'm good. I'm Jim. You're here to record, I believe.
Yes, indeed. And I've been doing this for about 10 years.
Wow. What do you do on Tuesdays through Fridays?
Well, I'm a Toastmaster. I belong to 5 different Toastmasters clubs. I'm very active in there.
Do you record out there, or
No.
are you here giving tips?
I'm an officer and webmaster of 5 different clubs. Are you familiar with Toastmasters?
Sure. Okay. I've never participated, but I've had people on my team do Toastmasters, and they said they got a lot out of it.
It's an excellent program. Now, are you in transition yourself?
I guess so, because I don't know what's next. So I'm I'm in an inquiry stage. Do I want to retire? Do I want to volunteer? Do I want to start my own consulting? Or do I want to work for a company or a nonprofit again? So
Sounds like the world is your oyster.
you know, I have choices. I'm blessed, and so I come here and I listen to people and I get inspired, and especially the career coaches. I like the.
Yes, indeed.
Is this recording?
It is. But
Well, you'll edit it out.
there's so much ambient noise that I doubt that it'll pick us up.
This is a good program, and thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, of course. I think this is on YouTube. We're posting them on YouTube now.
Save me $5 for parking.
YouTube/users/40 plus.
All right. I'm sure if I searched on YouTube, I'd find. How quickly do you post?
I'm not sure. I don't do that.
Okay.
And it probably would vary, but I'm not sure. And we've only been posting for about the last 8 months since we came to this new facility.
That's good.
What was your career?
My background is advertising sales and membership sales for trade associations. I started off in media companies in New York in the 80s and 90s, and then I moved down here in 2000 to be with a woman and realized there weren't media companies down here, at least at the level that they are in New York. And so I went into the association, the nonprofit world, doing sales and sales management and membership development.
Were you agency based or independent or what? Were you working for an ad agency?
Actually, I did start working for an ad agency, but most of the time I was with media companies. So magazine publishing, internet firms that were news and information media based, search engine.
So how did the woman work out?
We're married.
Excellent.
Yes, it was a good move. Career-wise, took me in a different trajectory. Probably not as steep, but it's not all about work. It's about life and love and relationships and raising children and all that. At least for me.
You have children now?
We have 3 children, none that we made together, but nonetheless they are our 3 children. They're all grown up and college graduates and working and seemingly successful and healthy. So,
Good for you.
yeah, great. Yeah. The world is my oyster. Thank you for pointing that out. Sometimes you forget that.
Did you say your name is Jim? Yes.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Thank you. There's a lot of good energy. Hopefully you met somebody new that you didn't know before. And I would encourage you throughout this presentation, as you talk with other people, exchange business cards, right? It's all about connection. You never know who might know someone, and opportunities just come from a group like this, right? The fact that you're here on a Monday morning means that you're a doer, a mover, and you're surrounded by people who are like-minded in that way. So I'm curious what came up for you as you think about what you're hoping to get out of today, what you're willing to try, what you're hoping to learn. I just want to take note a couple of things to make sure I get to some of these things, but what came up in your conversations? Yeah.
Taking care of yourself.
Taking care of yourself. Can you speak a little bit to that, just briefly?
Sure. So I had the pleasure of meeting Ula, and we both talked about why we're here, and we mentioned how earlier in our careers we've always chosen paths that we enjoy, but we gave a lot of ourselves and weren't really taking care of ourselves fully, and are now in the space of saying, well, I've been giving, but now at the point where financially I need to take care of myself. Physically, that work-life balance needs to be a priority, and looking forward to new opportunities that will allow that.
Okay, I like that. Thank you for sharing. What else? Yes.
Teaching. John and I were talking about teaching and how it encompasses so many skills, whether you teach early childhood like me,
Okay.
and at the elementary level as well, how when you meet with parents, you're doing customer service, but necessarily you may kind of want to move away from that, but stay in the realm of education, but how to move forward and kind of make that work in other places as well.
Okay, so you found a shared connection
Yeah, so,
here.
yeah, it
Okay,
was really
so
great.
to build some connections, that's a hope. Uh-huh, what else? Yeah,
Ideas to help the other person.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, help,
Ideas to help the other.
help others.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I like that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, so I started out as a teacher, and then I had an overseas career, and I was talking with her about different things that she could think about because of my experience.
Okay, I like that. So even thinking about giving back, right? You're in a stage of life where you have the opportunity to give back skills and resources and education. I like that. Is there a hand here? Yeah.
Maintaining a positive and forward-looking attitude.
Okay, can you speak a little to that?
Yeah, in a time of transition when one is in between jobs, it's easy to get negative and down on oneself and kind of withdraw every now and then. But you really, no matter what happens, you really have to be positive, and whatever rejections you get will just bring you that much closer to the job that will ultimately be yours.
I like that. So maintaining an outlook that allows you to keep moving forward,
Right.
seeing all the good things ahead. Yeah, thank you. Anything else? Yeah.
So I will second that. So I actually know Kate because she was my career coach at Hopkins for a couple of months when I lost my job. So I absolutely second what Pia said, because that was a big part of the reason I came. But I also knew, because you were speaking, because I am, it's been almost 6 months now, and it's the longer it goes, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
And I'm getting like teary. Caitlin knows she's seen me like this. But I knew coming to see you would be good.
Thank you for your research. Thank you for being so fun surprise. Thank you. Yeah, it's an emotional process, right?
Yeah.
When we think about all the transactional elements of the resume and the LinkedIn, but what's going on inside of us, right? You can't see that, and people ask how you're doing, and then it becomes an emotional experience. I've been there because I think there's a big piece of our identity that is tied to work. Whether we like it or not, we may not even know that we tell ourselves that, and then all of a sudden there's this big transition, either expected or unexpected, and it just kind of brings up a lot of things that you may not have thought about before. So managing that process, in addition to all the other things that you're doing, is important. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
I teach this, but I'm learning from NASA. They now require everyone, consultants and full-time people who work there, they have to take emotional intelligence to be able to be a critical thinker in the age of science and math that's taking over jobs. And so most of us have access to that on LinkedIn now, that you have to take emotional intelligence with this positive about negatives and hear opposing views. Can you hear opposing views in the 21st century or not? And that's more complicated, so people might not like it because most people get very negative about this. But that's where emotional intelligence, I thought, was only coming to business. NASA now requires it. Yeah.
Sure. So to learn about emotional intelligence, EQ,
Yeah.
is really crucial in the process. And also when you're going in for an interview, they want to see, do you have those hard skills, some of the concrete, can you use Excel, whatever it might be, but also the emotional intelligence piece, do you have those personal skills that you know what's going on inside of you, or you're able to relate to someone else, or you're going to blow up in front of someone because you get angry and you're not able to manage that internal experience. So emotional, are we intelligent about what's going on inside, and can we manage that, is something that employers are also looking for. So, yeah.
Oh, well, I just like to come with an open mind, hoping I hear something that's going to trigger me, to like, that's a good idea, to think of it, run with it, meet people, listen to the stories.
I like that. So open to the possibilities, right? Something's going to come up, right? And just kind of trusting the process, I think, is really important. Anything else that people are hoping to hear about today? These are some things I planned to talk about, so this is good. Yeah.
I wanted to learn about different strategies that you would use for differentiation from one sector to another sector.
Okay, so some strategies in the process. Okay, great. And I think that we learn when we share together. So I'm hoping that we will have a conversation today and that you will share your experiences, but that I can facilitate some good conversations. I always walk out of coaching sessions and counseling sessions and think, oh, I want to write that down. That sounds really good, right? Because we're all on this journey. I'm on my own professional, journey, so I think that sharing is part of each one of our goals today. So great. Well, thank you for sharing that. If you have questions as we go, feel free to raise your hand and stop me. We'll talk a little bit about it. So I just want to kind of give you a little bit of a visual representation when we talk about career development. I mentioned some of we're going to talk a little bit about the emotional pieces. I don't think that they're actually in here, but I think in between each of these steps, I kind of think about career development if you are in a transition, if you're wanting to get a new job. Is anybody here hoping to get a new job? Some of you? Okay, yeah. Some of you may want a new job. Maybe some of you are thinking about retirement, and I think you might be thinking about reinvention. I like that word instead of retirement because you have a lot of life to go. I work with people at all different stages, but I think the idea of transition is relevant if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. You're reinventing or redesigning what's next. And it might be something you get paid for. It might be something you don't get paid for. Either way, I think there are some similar elements to your process of rebranding and telling your story, what skills, what value that you have to offer an employer or a volunteer organization, a board you want to serve on. You want to be able to explain that to someone. And these are some things that are important, especially if you're getting a new job. Some of these are really crucial. The first step, and when someone comes in to work with me, I work with clients one-on-one, outside of Hopkins by phone and Skype, but I kind of listen to hear where are they in their process. Because some people already know what they want and they actually are just getting ready for the interview and they just kind of want some coaching around how do I get ready for my interview. So they're farther along in the process, and then some people come and say, I just need a change, I'm stuck, but I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want to do. So we start with the self-exploration. Do you know how to talk about, or do you even know what your own personal strengths are, or values, your skills, maybe your work preferences as far as what type of work environment you want? So I love this piece because we get to kind of step back and do a lot of reflection and deeper thinking about what you want to design. Before you kind of just jump straight to the resume, you got to take a step back and say, well, what's the message I want to send? And so I think that this exploration piece is really crucial. I think it's really fun, but that can even be scary because what if you want to leave your job and you want to do something totally different? Like maybe you're going to do more school or get a certification. So, there's this discovery piece that informs the rest of the process. So once you figure it out, well, these are some things that feel really crucial to me. Maybe these are some organizations that feel interesting, or I feel like I want to be on board with their mission. We talk a little bit about the industry research. How are you going to go find those companies? Who are they? What types of jobs do they have? So guide people through that research. And then once you're able to identify what you want and who you want to do it for, then we talk about your professional story. How do you brand yourself? How do you tell that message? It might be online, in person, your pitch, right? Your 60-second pitch. That story then moves into your resume. That story is in your cover letter, right? So as you do this work first, this part just starts to smoothly move along. So that story even goes into your networking, your pitch, your LinkedIn summary section, right? Maybe informational interviews where you might go and have coffee with a professional in your area and ask them a little bit about their field. You want to know what that story is first, all the way to your interview. What's the story you're telling in your interview about your skills and the value that you have to offer? Then I guide people through the salary negotiation and even career management. My hope is that I can be someone's career coach for a lifetime, that at some point they're going to make another transition and they are navigating maybe pivoting or wanting to move up in their company. So these are some of the steps in career development, I think, that are important. So if you're finding, I'm feeling like this part is not going well, we might want to take a step back and think, how much clarity do you have here? So like I mentioned, I think the emotional piece, all of that is in between every step, right? Managing, how are you thinking about each of these steps? So today we're not going to talk as much about some of these practical things. We can talk about resumes, but we're going to talk a little bit more about what's happening up here through the process so that you can manage the process and take care of yourself during it, right? Because I think it can be a lot. So we're not going to talk just about positive thinking, although I think that can be helpful, because the reality is that sometimes life is hard. It's hard. We go through hard things, and if you're going through a career transition and you have a sick family member that you're taking care of, or you're wanting to make a change and your partner just lost their job, I think you have to give space for the hard things too. So I'm not a believer in just getting rid of all the hard things, but it's really about having a balanced view and mindset about your whole situation. So today we're going to talk about 10 mind traps, if you will, some ways that we think, we may not even realize we're thinking that way. And we'll do some participation so that we can kind of talk through some of them. And then I'll follow up with some tips that will help you kind of keep this balanced perspective. Okay, sound good? That's kind of where we're going to go. So we're going to go through these 10 things. So the first mind trap, if you will, and you're welcome to take some notes, is all or nothing thinking. So sometimes it's called black and white thinking. So if, for example, can anyone think of a time maybe in your career process where black and white thinking might come to play? What might you be telling yourself if you're thinking that way?
Total failure.
I'm a total failure, right? I didn't get that job, so I'm a total failure. There's no hope, right? It's like all or nothing. And I think that when we get like a rejection letter, right? I think it's like hard to stay in that okay, that was really painful and I feel so rejected, but at the same time, I know that I still have value and I still have skills and I can keep moving, right? There's kind of this balance, we're giving space for the reality that it's hard, but we also don't lose perspective that I'm totally dumb, I can't get a job, I'll never get a job, no one will ever like me, right? So there's this black and white thinking. Has anybody ever done that? I think it's easy, yeah, it's easy to do that, right? Rejection hurts, it's hard. I think the job search process that's such a vulnerable experience. It's a lot like dating. I feel like I don't want to go back. It's a lot like dating, right? You're putting yourself out there, you're saying, this is my best self, please take me, please accept me. And then when they don't, that hurts, right? So I think it's very similar to that process. So taking care of yourself when you get that rejection is important. So that's the first mind trap. The second is overgeneralizing, right? Seeing a pattern based upon a single event or being overly broad in the conclusions that we draw. Any examples in your around career that this might come up?
You could say in a company, they'll never hire anyone like me.
Mm-hmm. They'll never hire anyone like me. Maybe it's based on your race or your age, or right? It's just a very broad overgeneralization, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe in one job, a particular director or boss sees you one way, and then you change, and then another comes and doesn't see that, and then you're let go because of what that person sees. You feel it wipes out everything good that you did.
Okay, so again, everything, and that's even almost a little black and white thinking, right? Everything is totally erased because of that. Yeah, we kind of go on the defensive, oh, okay, it's all over, right? So overgeneralizing. The third mental trap, if we will, is called mental filter. Only paying attention to certain types of evidence. So noticing our failures, but not seeing our successes. How about this one? Any examples in career, workplace, this thought might come up?
Sure. In sales, you might not hit your sales goal, but in the process, you might have brought in 10 pieces of new business, and wooed back the lapsed clients and did a great job, but you missed your number, well, I failed because I didn't hit my number.
There you go. Only seeing what didn't go well instead of, oh, also I also brought in this money.
Yeah.
Right. Canceling out all the wins. Right. I didn't get this job, so cancels out all the 10 interviews that you had before or something, or whatever it is. Right. Yeah, that's a big one. We can get so focused on what's not going well that we don't see what's also going well.
And in the interviewing process, I think we're learning. We're refining our pitch, our presentation of ourselves. So even though we might not get a job, we're learning something along the process, whether we accept it or not.
I heard someone one time say, either I succeed or I learn. I think that's totally true, right? And you just keep going, and you learn, you get some sort of insight from that. You say, okay, what could I do a little differently next time? Or what did I do well, and what do I want to do again? What worked for me, right? So I succeed or I learn. I like that. Okay. Mind trap number 4, jumping to conclusions. There are 2 key types of jumping to conclusions. First, mind reading. How many of you do this? I do this all the time. Imagining we know what others are thinking. We can't know. Or fortune telling, predicting the future. How many of you predict the future? Yeah? Yeah, what's an example of this maybe in career? Yeah.
Well, I think anytime when you're dealing with your management, you're always trying to imagine what they're thinking, and quite often you're completely wrong. In fact, quite often they're not focused on you at all. But you think they are.
Yeah, that's a great one. Trying to understand. I mean, maybe it comes from a good place. Trying to interpret and get the lay of the land and how am I doing, and this awareness, this desire to have emotional intelligence, but at the same time, you really just don't have all the facts. And we make decisions based on information that we don't have. Has anybody ever made decisions on information they didn't have, and then realized, oh, that's not what my partner was trying to communicate, or that's not what my child was actually saying, but I made a decision based on information that I just got from here. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a FEMA reservist, and in the last emergency, my immediate supervisor was very off from everybody, and all of us thought that there was something she didn't like what we were doing. And towards the end of the emergency, we found out that the previous emergency, somebody had brought an EOC case on her, so it affected her what she was doing, and it wasn't anything to do with any of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally changes when you find out someone's real story. Has anybody heard of Brene Brown? Yeah, so if you watch a TED Talk, TED.com, there are a bunch of speakers that talk on different topics. And Brene Brown is one of the top 10 TED Talks. She's got a bunch of books out there. She's a research psychologist, and she studies shame and vulnerability. But in one of her books, she talks about a scenario where she's at work at a conference table, and she's giving some presentation. And a woman sitting on the table is underneath the table kind of texting. And so she starts thinking, oh my gosh, she's not listening. She doesn't care what I say. She doesn't agree with what I'm presenting on, and she's just getting upset about it, right? But she's giving the presentation. And so after the meeting is over, she goes up to the woman and she says, I'm really upset that you don't, whatever. And she just started going on, right? Come to find out that the woman was texting because her daughter was at home alone and needed some help because the babysitter left or something like that, right? Wow, does that change your experience when you realize I'm making up a story that this woman doesn't care about what I'm presenting on because she's texting, when in fact, if she had checked in with her and gotten the real facts, it would have changed her experience. Now maybe she was, now in that case, it is possible that the woman didn't care about her presentation and she hated her, right? That would have also informed her on how to move forward in that case, right? So it's not always pleasant, but you know that the way you're behaving is based on real information and not a made-up story. Right? So.
And just, I was thinking of an example with fortune telling. Was like I have had like 2 jobs among many that I applied for that I'm the perfect one for this job. This is just like my last one. I know that I'm the only one that can do this. And then they have an interview and oh my gosh, that went so well. And then no, they didn't hire me, and that takes me back into the other traps of oh, no one will ever hire me, or oh, this is just not gonna work, and then just goes back into all the other traps, basically.
Yeah.
When those fools don't hire me.
But I think that's powerful to have that insight, right? To be able to check in with ourselves and say, wait, what am I telling myself right now? Is this the way I would talk to a friend if they just got this information? I think that's always a really good question to ask yourself. Is this the way I would talk to a friend? We're a lot harder on ourselves than we are on our friends. Well, I hope we're not like that on our friends, because I tell myself some crazy stuff. I'm like, oh, that was harsh. Maybe I could be kind to myself right now, right? So I appreciate that, and I think having that insight is not about shaming ourselves that we have that thought. It's just recognizing it and then helping ourselves through it. So I appreciate that. Okay, let's jump to trap number 5. Emotional reasoning. Assuming that because we feel a certain way that we think must be true. I'm sorry. Assuming that because we feel a certain way, what we think must be true. I feel embarrassed, so I must be an idiot. Thoughts about where this might emerge for career? Yeah.
I guess letting the a rejection or a disappointment kind of spiral into a kind of spiral of negative thinking, where you don't get a job or something discouraging happens, then you start thinking about all the other negative things that aren't really logical conclusions of that, but they're just because you're feeling negative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the emotions kind of spiral and then inform the decisions and behaviors that you make next. I feel this way, so I'm going to act this way. I'm going to feel this way, right?
Most people don't know this, but that's emotional unintelligence. Okay? Not emotional intelligence. And all of you can take lectures on this. It's online. Why you have to deal with negatives positively. And you have to talk to human beings before you go into research and get facts. Then you get the facts much better than you do when you just go by yourself and get facts. That's changing quite a bit.
So you're saying pulling in other perspectives, is that what you're saying?
Having discussions with opposing views before you research. This is in business, not even in government. Now the government is doing this, and NASA. So I didn't know this, but emotional unintelligence is like 95% of us versus emotional intelligence. So you can disagree with this, but it's coming online more.
Yeah, and that's sure. I mean, I work in a business school, and we talk a lot about emotional intelligence. It's really important in the work world. What about, oh yeah, go ahead.
Can we change the last sentence from I feel embarrassed, so I must be an idiot, to I feel embarrassed, so I must be able to identify my feelings? So I feel embarrassed, so I must be a human being, because people get embarrassed from time to time?
That is a beautiful reframe. I love that. Yes.
Caitlin likes to remind you, by the way, that you're a human being. At least you did me anyway.
No, it's true. We're going to talk about how do we reframe some of these things, right? Because it's not, I should never feel sad, or I should never feel embarrassed, or I should never, right? We're humans, so we're going to have feelings, but it's how do we complete the sentence, right? I'm feeling really down because I got rejected. And at the same time, I'm going to keep applying for jobs, right? So letting our feelings dictate what we do next, like I feel down, so I don't think I'm going to apply to any more jobs. That just nothing happens because I'm going to wait till I feel good to apply to a job. Well, it might not come, right? I think about that, like taking out the trash. Like, I don't feel like taking it out. Maybe I'll just wait till I feel like it. I'm never going to feel like it, right? I need to first take the first step towards my trash. and then take another step towards my trash until I take out the trash. But I'm never gonna love it, right? And I don't know that applying to jobs is ever gonna be something you feel happy about. Maybe, but most likely not. So if you're gonna make decisions or moves, if your behavior is going to be a factor of your emotional state, things just might not happen. So I think instead, recognizing what you're feeling and saying, even though I feel really crummy, I'm going to apply to one job, or I'm going to make one phone call. That's going to help you, again, these small, tiny habits then lead into bigger habits, and then your emotional state starts to change, right? Oh, I had a nice conversation. Okay, I feel better, right? It's like going to the gym. Like, I got to the gym. I feel a little bit more like doing this. So we can't just rest on the emotional piece to get us moving, right? All right, chapter number 6, labeling. Assigning labels to ourselves or other people. I'm a loser. I'm completely useless. They are such an idiot. Assigning labels. Anybody ever do this? It's kind of a finite thing. Unless you're like, I am awesome! I am the best!
Those are still labels, but.
Those are labels, that's true. They're kind of absolutes, right? I don't know. I think the positive could be, to say I am perfect or I never make a mistake. I think that's maybe not as healthy, but I think you can, I am valuable or I have something to give. I think those could probably be positive labels, right? Or healthy labels. Anybody have this experience?
And I also think it's important to know, and maybe this happens as you get older, but what your strengths are not in. So for me, I would not probably contribute much to a math brainstorming meeting, not my thing. And I wouldn't want to mislead anybody or not contribute enough. So I just want to be, acknowledge and be sensitive to what I know are not strengths of mine. And it's not that I feel completely useless, but not giving enough of myself. And just know that as well as to what my strengths are, so that I am productive and I do contribute where I think I can.
Right. No, I think that's a good point. I think you have to be honest with yourself. If you, don't know how to fly a plane, don't say, I'm a pilot. You're not, right? So I think you have to be authentic and honest with yourself. Maybe we're some things, but to say, like, I can, I am not a math person, and maybe you can be open to learning a new math tool. It doesn't, So anyway, I think it's just being careful with kind of pigeonholing ourselves into labels. All right, trap number 7, disqualifying the positive, discounting the good things that have happened or that you have done for some reason or another. So that doesn't count. I see some head nods. What's coming up for you guys?
Well, no matter how well you think you might have done, let's say in an interview or on a project, you still have these negative feelings that it's just not going to go the way you want it to go.
Sure. So again, getting rid of all of, it's a little bit of mental filter, those types of things, right? So disqualifying the positive. Does anybody keep maybe like a journal that they write all the things that went well down in their day? Yeah? Okay. How does that help you?
I'm still doing it.
How does that help you?
I got out of the habit a couple weeks ago and I'm starting to get back into it. As you and I talked about, it's definitely very helpful, especially as you're going through this process. It's so easy to forget about the good stuff. And it's like, hey, and then it's like, I'm going to write 3 things, and then, I have 7 things. And that's happened. So it's definitely helpful.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. I think, recognizing those little things. Did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, I've journaled for a really long time, and I think what's helpful is when you look back years before. So I keep one on my computer now. So I've been doing that now for almost 4 years. So I look back to where I was and to where I am now, and I'm like, okay, I learned this, and this didn't go so well, but this is great. So it's about everything going on from really provocative, thought-provoking things to just really silly things. So I try to take it all in and keep kind of tabs on where I am and how I'm feeling. So yeah,
That's a great tool. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I was at a professional seminar and they talked about another TED Talk. I don't know the presenter's name, but it was a young man. And there was a tetra effect that because of where we came from, the caveman period, we have still like a hindbrain that we always are looking out for danger. So there's called a negative bias. People think negatively automatically because that's like hardwired into us. But the tetra effect is if you have like all these different squares, some are negative and some are positive. If you have that emotional, a negative bias, you're just going to pick out all the negative things. You ignore the positive ones. So when you have that journaling, writing down the positive things that happen, you're starting to recognize that a lot of positive things happen. You're sort of trying to reprogram what you're picking out.
Yeah.
So that's why one of the reasons it's effective.
That's
is that
great.
journaling.
Yeah, our brains, the neuroplasticity in our brain, we can rewire our brain for the way that we think. They say neurons that fire together, wire together. So if you keep having the same thoughts, like you're just going to automatically think that way, right? If you label yourself every time something goes wrong, that's what you're going to think. But to retrain your brain to think differently, right, it takes time to slow down the process and to change the end of that sentence, right? But if you do that enough times, it will be easier for your brain to start thinking in healthier ways, kinder ways, right? So we're going to keep moving to make sure these are great comments. Make sure we get through all these, and then I also share a little bit about some healthy tips that you can go through. So trap number 8, catastrophizing and minimization. So either way, blowing things way out of proportion, catastrophizing, or inappropriately shrinking something to make it seem less important, right? I didn't get that job, so my life is over. It's all over, like, no, right? That's like really big. Or I don't know, even in the work world, sometimes it's hard because it's like in society we don't necessarily like promote ourselves and talk about ourselves, so sometimes it's hard to also share some of the great accomplishments that we have, right? Oh yeah, that one time that I was the CEO of my company and it wasn't a big deal, I just changed the world, right? I mean, sometimes we really don't tell our story enough, right? And that's not good for us, it's not good for the potential companies that we could help. So recognizing when we're either way. We'll keep moving. Trap number 9, personalization, blaming yourself or taking responsibility for something that wasn't completely your fault. So conversely, blaming other people for something that was your fault. Does anybody do this? They take on things that don't belong to them?
Can I say that there's kind of a tangent to this, which is when you do the whole job yourself, but you give everybody credit, you give the whole team credit.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
kind of my thing. That's my thing.
Yes. So maybe you work on a team, and then well, it could be either way, right? I guess they did all the work, but then you said, "Oh yeah, I did the project. We did well." Or the other way. What was the other way?
You do all the work.
You do all the work, but then you tell the boss that it was a team effort, and
Yes.
you kind of minimize your own contribution because
Yep.
we're taught not to brag or.
Sure. And that's crucial, especially when you're in interviews and they say, "Tell me about a time that you were a leader," or whatever it is. I always tell people, use the word I. I contributed this way versus, "Oh, we did all this stuff," right? Because you're not explaining what it is that you did and what you could bring. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the 10th trap, the shoulds. This is the biggest one. It's all the time. Using critical words like should, must, or ought can make us feel guilty or like we have already failed. If we apply shoulds to other people, the result is often frustration. Anybody has kids? You should clean your room. You should take out the trash. You shouldn't do that. You should do that. Do we do that to ourselves? oh, I shouldn't have done that. Right? It's so shaming, it's so hard.
With kids I've learned this over a long period of time, but we would say, instead of saying, I want you to do, you say, I need you, or you need to. Because you're giving that responsibility to the other person, even if it's a child in that situation. Like my son, I'm like, oh, you need to do this. This is your room, you need to take care of it. So you're taking that off of yourself and you're putting it on to, but it's still positive, it's not berating someone. So even in the adult world, you could do the same. I often advise my husband on how to handle things. I'm the one telling him, you could do this. You could say,
could is a great
could,
word,
is, you know, or you need to, or I feel. Like all of those are different ways of kind of giving yourself a break in a way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Communication is huge with others and then with ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What are we telling ourselves? And are we being compassionate? Or, you know, you go in for an interview, you didn't get the job. Oh, I should have prepared this, right? You could have prepared that. You didn't. Okay. Let's move on, right? Instead of like beating yourself up, right? We do that all the time. We don't need to. So the shoulds and the musts are kind of shaming. And we could do this, or I wished I would have done that. I didn't do it. Okay, that's all right. Take care of yourself.
It might not have changed the outcome.
It might not have. It might have. Either way, it doesn't. Yeah. Either way, the outcome, it doesn't necessarily.
You could have been hugely prepared, but there were still 3 candidates who were a better match.
Sure. Yep. So these are huge. I printed out a page here that I'd like to give all of you with all 10 thinking traps. Okay. So I'll pass that around. I want you to just take a look and maybe pick one that you think that resonated with you when we were talking about it. Maybe pick one. And I'd like you just for a brief moment, maybe just turn to a partner and just share maybe something that you think you could do differently, maybe as a replacement thought, or maybe if you're not sure, get an idea from a partner on how you might be able to reframe that, okay? So take just maybe 60 seconds, maybe circle one that you think might be yours. I kid you not, we all struggle with one or more of these, so you are not alone. Turn to a partner and maybe just share one that kind of surprised you or came up for you, and maybe a thought or two about what you might like to do to. Okay, go ahead. Maybe you can meet with someone that you haven't talked to before, so you can meet a new person, exchange a business card.
I haven't seen anything real. One thing I see is this labor test. Oftentimes, I'm living with somebody else, and everybody in the environment agrees with me that Jacques is a headstrong Congolese who wants to get out of the field of research, regardless. And he's not going to share anything with anybody else. Well, yeah, that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. No matter what you're in a job
wasn't.
Perfect. I'm glad you're here. It's a really good conversation. Awesome energy in the room. I'm just curious, what was that like to kind of share some of your mental traps, if you will? Thoughts? Was that?
It seemed like it was easy to share because we had a lot in common. We all have these emotional things.
Yeah, you're not alone. It's kind of validating. Like, oh, you do that too? I'll do that to you. Okay, I will do it to you. Yeah.
It's cathartic.
It's cathartic. Yeah. Just say more about that.
Oh, I mean, many of us tend to isolate in ourselves, and so when we get together with someone and we share what we're thinking or what we're feeling, it's freeing.
Yeah, you're not alone. This transition, reinvention is as much as a mind game as it is a practical one. So recognizing, like, I'm not the only one going through that. It's really helpful.
I was going to say it was insightful to hear someone else sort of what they go through, and it makes you realize maybe the way that you do it yourself, or if they were saying like why they shouldn't do it, you learn some insights in terms of how you could perhaps be better, even if you didn't think that particular one was one of your greatest weaknesses.
Sure. Yeah. You can do more reading online even for other tips, because sometimes it's hard to even know, like, how do I break that, or how do I reframe that? There's a big connection between what we're thinking. It all starts here, and then it leads out. So there's a type of theory called cognitive behavioral therapy. It's CBT, maybe some of you are familiar with it. Basically, the idea is that what we think cognitively informs or influences our behavior, and it can be a cycle. So if I think there's a bear outside, I'm going to feel scared, and I'm going to run. If I think there's a cat outside, I'm going to feel calm, and I'm going to stay. So just based on what I think is happening will inform my body what to do next, right? So there might be a situation that happens, you don't get a call back for that job. What do you think? Crucial moment, right? I'm a loser, or, oh, that was hard, but let me keep going, right? I mean, what you tell yourself here will inform how do you feel about it, and then what's the behavior. Sometimes I think it's hard to slow that process down. Sometimes we just like, boom, boom, behavior, right? Oh, I'm going to eat a bag of Oreos. I'm just, right? Like, how did I get here? I don't know how I got here. So, like, slowing it down, like, okay, this is what I was thinking. This is how I'm feeling, right? And I think, again, the EQ, the emotional intelligence, is just being able to have insight to recognize what you're thinking. And there's no shame if you go straight to the labeling or mind filter or whatever it is. It's just, I just went there. Okay, that's all right. Let me reframe that. Let me see a little bit more of a balanced view. Oh, okay, this was hard, but this was also good, right? So see a little bit of both. So it doesn't take away the sad feeling. Feelings are just feelings. There's not a good or a bad one. There's some that you might want to have over others, right? I want to feel happy, but guess what? Sometimes we feel sad. Sometimes we feel angry. So it's not shaming ourselves for feeling or thinking that way. It's just being aware. And I think we talk a lot about this when we talk about mindfulness. Has anybody heard about mindfulness, the concept of mindfulness? What do you know about mindfulness?
To be present in the moment.
Yeah, to be present, to be in the moment. So the Harvard Gazette ran a story a number of years ago on a study where they had about 2,000 participants, and what they would do is they would ping them on their cell phone whatever the duration was, intervals. And they would check in with the participants and ask them if they were thinking about what they were doing. And they found that 47% of the time, people were actually not present with what they were doing. So it begs the question, if you're not here, where are you? If your mind is set on the past, oftentimes that can bring on depression, all the things that you didn't do or didn't go well or maybe are unhealed. Or if it's focused too far in the future, that can bring on anxiety. I need to get a job, I need to sell my house, right? Because I'm not here, drawing with my kids or whatever it is, right? So where our minds are, not only the thoughts, but that we're present or mindful is just as crucial. That can be really powerful so that we stay in a place of presence. And that's really important to know what's going on for us inside. It gives us some control. So it's an interesting study. You can pull it up online. I want to talk a little bit more about this idea of mindfulness and what can you actually do if your mind starts spinning. Does anybody have that problem? Does that ever happen? You're just like okay, slow down, right? So breathing can be a way, I know it's so simple, to slow our minds down. So I want to just share with you in the next minute just a little bit about this, and I don't have enough time. I run workshops on kind of just breathing and mindfulness, and there are a lot of tools that you can find online around mindfulness. Does anybody do any mindful practice regularly that helps them kind of center? Yeah, what do you?
Well, I took a intensive practice program, and I've been to retreats and such, but I just learned a new one. Like when your head starts spinning, just go out into your body, like feel your feet, or you want to just like breathe or exercise. You have to take your thoughts out of your mind and just think about your body, because your body is more reality.
Yeah. Right. You're here. So when your mind's up here, to ground yourself.
Yeah, transition right. Like that.
Right. That's huge. Somebody else have a hand?
I also learned in my meditation class once, and it's working for me, is try to meditate, but my mind go many places. So I just said the word thinking, and immediately I no more problems. So I let it blank my mind. Work for me. And then also there are an app you can use in Sign Finder, and I usually, when I was working here in downtown, I commute in the metro, so I just put that. Yeah, that was very helpful. But then I changed jobs. I don't commute in the metro, so I don't do it now.
Yeah. So that's great. Yeah, there are lots of great mindfulness like apps and things like that. But breathing is huge. I don't know if anybody notices their breath. A lot of times I think we take really shallow breaths, right? Like here. Oftentimes people go to the emergency room because they think they're having a heart attack, but they're actually having a panic attack, right? Because they're like shallow breathing instead of breathing down in their diaphragm, where we get a really oxygen-rich air to fill our body, right? And to kind of calm our minds. So if you will, if you feel comfortable, I want to just do maybe one quick breathing exercise just to demonstrate this. You know, if anything comes up for you, any feeling or emotion, sometimes our bodies, we try to like protect ourselves from things that we don't want to slow down to kind of check in with. So if that comes up for you, feel free to stop breathing. Well, don't stop breathing. Hold on. Just, you do what you need to do to take care of yourself. Please keep breathing. So anyway, so we're just going to kind of slow our bodies down and our brains down. So anyway, if something comes up for you, feel free to stop or, do whatever you need, and I'm happy to talk afterward. So what I want you to do is I want you to place your hands on your lower abdomen, your diaphragm, and I want you to just inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And I want you to just continue to breathe, inhaling through your nose, and watch your belly fill up with air. And you'll notice as you exhale through your mouth that your diaphragm will go in and your hands will go in. So just notice for a moment, and if you want to close your eyes, you can do that too. Just continue to slowly breathe, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. And if you don't really feel it, see if you can take a deeper breath to fill up your belly and then exhale. Okay, you feel that? All right. So we're going to do, I like to do a box breathing exercise, and I think you'll feel kind of the difference in your body afterwards. So sometimes, again, we're taking shallow breaths, so to deepen and lengthen the breath, we're going to do a box. Okay, so I'm going to actually lead you through that. I'll do this, and what we're going to do is we're going to inhale for 4 through your nose, and I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll hold it, so hold that breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll exhale slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll inhale again, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll hold it for 4, and we'll exhale for 4. Pretty simple, okay? So So I'll count, so I might not be breathing exactly with you, but I just want you, let's do 3 boxes together, okay? And then we'll check back in. And if you, well, I guess you can't close your eyes because you're looking at me, but anyway, so let's inhale through our nose. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another box. Here we go. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the air. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last box. Ready? Deep inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slow exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. How was that? Yeah? What is your experience? Do you feel here? Yeah, I can feel that in the room, kind of, right? Kind of like grounded, like we're all here together. And we just took some deep breaths just to kind of slow ourselves, and we're just focusing on our breathing. So even if you're at your desk and you're feeling like things are, maybe you're yawning, yeah, like our bodies kind of like push out any energy, right? If you feel like things are spinning or you're getting kind of lost in some sort of mind trap, you know what, let me just breathe. And you can use, there are things online, like there's a triangle that helps you like breathe with the triangle and the triangle closes. Like there are different visuals you can use just to kind of slow. And again, I think the mind-body connection is really huge. Our bodies are a tool for us to self-soothe, if you will, right? When I feel anxious, I go for a run. It kind of releases things. Or when I'm hungry, I eat. And so I think that part of mastering our minds, if you will, is also using our body as a resource and tool, right? You don't feel really good, your head hurts, you take a nap, right? We take care of our bodies so we can take care of our minds. So there are other great breathing techniques and things like that. I mean, that's why I think meditation is one way that you can be mindful. Prayer might be another way. But again, just breathing can help you recenter. I think mindfulness is that you're present. Even though it was created in the 70s by a man named John Kabat-Zinn, who was actually studying molecular biology at MIT, and he went to this Buddhist meditation retreat, and they found that there were a lot of health benefits to meditation and that it really cured chronic pain. So he created this mindfulness-based stress reduction program, and a lot of it's trending in business. Google has a program called Search Inside Yourself that helps with emotional intelligence, and they do a lot of mindfulness. Aetna has a program for leadership to go through. General Mills sends most of their leadership to a mindfulness leader institute. So this is trending in business. As tools and resources, there are a lot of mindfulness conferences, meditation spaces set up in companies. So I think this is really huge to change our not only just ourselves and our impact our work cultures, but our family and our country and our nations, right? You think about having leaders who are mindful and present and able to understand what's happening inside themselves before they make decisions. That's huge. And that's huge in families, right? For a parent to be mindful and, I really want to yell right now, I'm feeling angry because this happened at work and I'm not going to do this right now. Right? So this is I think really huge. I think all of the things we've talked about today about the mind traps, again, I look at career from a holistic perspective. We show up to our work the way that we show up to our relationships and our families. So it's so important to be able to take care of ourselves in this way. I want to show you a quick video on mindfulness that I think illustrates this point really well, and it's kind of a cute little cartoon.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late, but I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this would be. Just as an example, driving down the road and something cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us would normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer and your reaction. Just a little bit of mindfulness. In that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts, I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I'd say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, who's chasing you? But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribed you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.
So that's just a fun little clip just to kind of share with you the power of mindfulness, the power of being, managing thoughts that come and knowing how to make decisions in that moment, right? So that's kind of fun. So, and like I mentioned, I think taking care of our minds, I think in society we talk about my leg broke, I went to the doctor, that's okay, but oftentimes we don't talk about mental health, right? Oh, you're crazy. No, I have a brain and I need to take care of it, right? So we don't talk about that a lot in society, but it's so important. And I think we unknowingly take care of our minds when we take care of our bodies physically. If I eat a bunch of chocolate and junk, I don't feel as good emotionally, right? So nutrition, sleep, exercise, breathing, meditation, whatever might be spiritual or service-oriented, you might set goals, positive self-talk, people support, all of these things, taking care of ourselves, self-compassion and self-care, right? When you get on an airplane, they say to take the mask if there's an emergency and do what?
Use it yourself.
Put it on yourself first before you put it on to someone else, right? So if you're going through a transition and you're trying to take care of everyone else or whatever it might be, make sure that you're doing the things that take care of you first, because that's actually going to be helpful to those around you if you really want to be of service. So those are a couple of thinking traps, some things around mindfulness that might help you be more self-aware and have that insight. Again, it's not about having perfect thoughts or happy thoughts all the time. It's acknowledging and being aware of what we're thinking, and then having the awareness to change it or reframe it and restructure it, and being kind to ourselves in that process, right? Thoughts just come, feelings come. It's not if, it's when, and what do we do with it? And I think that through any life transition, whether it's with a relationship or housing or career, right? Your mental health and wellness and healthy thinking is going to help you and those around you. So thank you so much for your participation today. It's been a pleasure.
One, maybe 2 questions. Any questions? Things that we didn't cover? I know we had a lot of interaction during the program, so yes, Phil.
Yeah, just to comment on this jumping to conclusions. This is an exercise that we can do all the time, and I'm sure everybody's had this sort of thing. It's when you use your cell phone, you call somebody, they're not there, and then there's this big hiatus, and you say, what is wrong? Is this person rejecting me? The exercise is to talk to them the next time you talk to them and say, where were you? And they say, oh, my son had malaria. I had an appointment. I was in a meeting, and the chances are that the reason is going to be the real one rather than, oh, I'm rejecting you,
Yeah,
which is the conclusion that a lot of people will jump to.
Technology, oh my goodness. With social media, with texting, oh, you didn't text back for 5 hours, like, you must hate me, or, right? I think that's a good point, that technology, we have to be aware, again, when we don't have all the information, whether it's technology or in person, we're filling things in and jumping to conclusions. It's be dangerous. We're putting ourselves through so much stress that we may not need to put ourselves through. So thank you for that point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to make a quick transition of our